Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world.
Time! 3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. Happy Monday. I hope you had a fine weekend, and getting into the week ahead is it's Monday, so whether you did or not, we're here. So got to get growing and get after it. Good weekend for Indiana basketball as they continue the roll that they're on. Looking forward. We'll talk to Don Fischer this morning as he is still out west with the team. 3 wins in a row now for Indiana basketball, including the most recent one on the road at Pauley Pavilion, a place that Indiana had never played. The Hoosiers and the Bruins, 2 of the all-time greats in college basketball, had never played there. So that was kind of cool to see that happen. Now Indiana on the second swing of their West Coast trip. They will head just across town a little bit to take on the USC Trojans tomorrow night. Can they keep the streak going, man? They've got 3 wins in a row. Hey, it's big game week also. Looking forward to the big game, as you're supposed to call it, the Super Bowl. What are they going to do, sue me? Come on, man. How was your weekend? Didn't do a lot. I got to be honest with you, man. No reason to go out. It's too cold. Too cold. Snow everywhere. Yeah, it's not going to change much. It's going to stay cold. Looking forward to Don Fischer joining us. How about that big win for Indiana over the weekend? Basketball. I mean, beating Purdue at home was big. Don't get me wrong. It was huge. It's a big win over one of the top teams in the conference. But it gave Indiana the confidence they need to go out and beat teams and finish games, although they tried their best to give that one away. My gosh. And, you on one hand, you got to like the open free-handedness that Darren DeVries gives his players at certain times. A coach has to step up, and boy, oh boy, why didn't you foul the guy at the end of the game instead of letting him take a 3-point shot? Yeah, that'll be something that maybe you learn from. We'll see. Some people have, different opinions on how that rolls. We'll see. We shall see. Appreciate you being with us. Oh, I know, and for those of you that follow, I know that Fulton, our friend Fulton, who is a big competitor in the Special Olympics, he called me and said he's going to be on the Today Show this week. So we'll have to get confirmation on that. But Russell says, please assure him that the red leg Enright was wearing is not a wooden leg. Hey, man, Connor Enright has been spectacular for that team. He has played above his raisin without question. I think he's just done a phenomenal job. He was guarding the big guy half the damn game. Half the time he'd get him switched off, but there are other times where he was just bucking up, man. So got to give a shout out to him. There you go. There it is. Fulton's got his big announcement. He's going to be on the Today Show this Friday on February 6th on NBC to tell them his story about how he got into the Special Olympics for over 16 years now. And he's getting, I think, an email from him, he says. But congratulations, Sarah, Bruce as well. Ooh, 5 says it may have hit 31 whole degrees where he is. Yeah, Robert, we've been bouncing around this morning. Well, sorry about that. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Glad that you're with us. Yeah, Russell. Enright's assist and defense has been spectacular. I mean, in Indiana, I got to tell you, for being shorthanded, for not having their normal point guard, they're not turning the ball over a lot either. So, man, hey, there's still hope for that team to make the NCAA tournament. Got to keep getting those wins, but it's there. The possibility is there. Russell's asking, is Chris Beard's team 11-10? Who plays in the powerful SEC? The groundhog saw a shadow this morning. I didn't know that was today. Well, he didn't see a shadow here, Fulton. I can tell you that. And if he did, it was just bouncing off of the snow. I didn't know it was Groundhog's Day. Must have happened again. Signing day tomorrow. Will IU get any flips? They've done pretty well on both sides, basketball and football. They've got a pretty solid recruiting class in basketball, 3-guy recruiting class. All 4 stars. Football, boy, don't have to talk much about it. Pretty much killing it with one of the, if not the best recruiting class in the portal. They are getting the job done. Early leaders emerging for the top 28 and 29 standouts. Yeah, it's just, it's rolling for Indiana right now. Hey, how's it going in Philly? Woo. I bet it's chilly in Philly. But yeah, Indiana basketball, Tucker DeVries has, I don't want to say he's been struggling. He's been looking to find his way. Crazy Dad, 6'10", appreciate you. And he's been, because of the injury to Dayton Conaway, and yesterday when Indiana had 3 different guys foul out of that game. I keep saying yesterday, it was Saturday, wasn't it? And then they didn't have Conaway, so they were without 4 guys at the end of that game. But one of those was Connor Enright, who had stepped over to be the point guard. So Tucker DeVries has kind of been in every man's role here of late. But huge win. If they'd have let that one slip away, that would have been, I don't care that it was on the road. That would have been bad because they had that game won. They were up 10 with $1:50 to go. And Hoosier started struggling to get the ball in bounds, get it up the floor, and it was their guards that were making a mistake. Let's take a quick break. I was supposed to call Don, and I forgot to call him. I'm so used to him jumping on. Don, give me 1 second, or let's just roll with it right here. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
Well, I didn't have to get up quite as early as you did. I thought about this. Don is out on the West Coast, so he had to get up early this morning to start his day. But, hey, when Hoosiers are winning like that, it probably makes it a little bit easier.
Well, trust me, it's definitely a lot easier in the sense of the angst that the coach and the players and everybody's had, and our fan base, of course, too, because they had lost 4 in a row. And all of a sudden, they've gone on this little winning streak here in which they've won 3 straight. And all 3 of those ball games, this basketball team looks a little different than what we saw in that 4-game losing skid. So that's the biggest change right now with this basketball team. And I love it because this team looks more like the team I watched in San Juan, Puerto Rico in the summertime. I've said that to a lot of people here lately because when I watched that team play in San Juan, had been basically together for about a month and a half leading up to that trip. I loved how hard those guys played, number one, how together they were for a ball club that barely knew one another facially and every other way going into that trip. And then, of course, played so well down there against the Serbia team, which I thought was a team that could compete very handily in the Big Ten, and won both those ball games. And now they look like that ball club again. And that's something that I think is really special for our program because without doubt, they play as hard as anybody in college basketball. And they may be a little undersized. They may be a little bit under-talented in comparison with a lot of these teams. But when you play as a team, and Coach Signetti proved that, when you play as a team, you can get it done. And right now they're getting it done.
Exactly, Don, and they're doing it a little shorthanded. I talked before you joined without Tatum Connerway, who's kind of their he is their point guard, and then Connor Enright stepped into that role. Then he fouled out yesterday, but so they've had to go through some adversity to get through this, but were able to finish the Purdue game out, which probably gave them the confidence they needed to go out on the road to beat a pretty solid UCLA team at Pauley Pavilion, a place where Indiana had never played.
No, they never played their number one, number two. It's a place where UCLA this year had not lost a single ball game. They won every time that they played on their home court this year. Indiana was able to convert that scenario, and obviously they had to go double overtime to get it done. But we're seeing a basketball team play really good basketball right now. And Darren DeVries has got to be really pleased with these kids. I know he is. We talked about it yesterday and then the day before as well. But right now they're playing the kind of basketball that Indiana loves to see. Indiana fans, I should say, love to see. They're playing as a team. There's no selfishness to this ball club. The ball is moving all the time. And their three-point shooters are really getting it done. And, again, Nick Dorn is starting to pull away as one of the better shooters on this basketball team. Without question, I'd say he rivals Lamar Wilkerson in the three-point shooting department. But we don't want to forget Tucker DeVries either. And even though he's not scoring like he did early in the year and like we thought he could, he is doing so many other things out there in these games of late. And that's one of the things that's really helped this ball club, I think, is how smart he is. He's a coach on the floor. Obviously, he's Darren's son. He's Darren's son. But honestly, I like the way he plays, and he's doing all the little things. He's rebounding. He is the third guy on the team in assists, but he's closing in on number 2 at this point. And he is doing a great job of just leading verbally and on the floor as well as an example. So they've got it going right now. They're getting contributions from other people too. Josiah Miles, who had not played a lot of basketball so far this year, started to contribute because of Connerway's injury. And, of course, they needed somebody else to be able to come in there and give him solid minutes. I think he's doing that. Of course, he fouled out yesterday against UCLA as well. In fact, they had 3 guys foul out of that ball game, including Reed Bailey. So you got a basketball team here that everybody's contributing, doing their part to help them win. And that has produced a 3-game winning streak right now against some pretty doggone good competition.
Yeah, the guys that you've just mentioned, Reed Bailey, 24 points yesterday, Lamar Wilkerson, 24 points yesterday, and Nick Dorn, 26 points, 6 of 15 behind the 3-point stripe. But more importantly, all these guys, 5 of 6 at the free throw line, 3 of 4, 4 of 5, 4 of 4, 12 of 13. Trent had a little bit of a rough day there, but he hit the important one, Don.
Yeah,
he hit the most important one of his day. And I noticed that Indiana had 31 made free throws to 30 for UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, this is a basketball team right now. Like I said before, I think when they went to San Juan, Puerto Rico, I saw exactly what I wanted to see, that they played so much as a team, everybody making contributions and playing about as hard as you can possibly play. And we saw another example of that against UCLA. You go double overtime in that ball game, find a way to get it done. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. It's led to 3 straight wins, a chance to get a 4th against this USC team that they're going to play tomorrow night.
Yeah, and another thing, Don, is they don't have their normal point guard in Tatum Connerway, but they had a total of 11 turnovers in that game,
Right.
which is amazing because that game was physical as physical gets.
Well, there's no doubt about that. The physicality in some of these basketball games these days is amazing to me. And the fact that the other thing, when I watch basketball at the college level today, I don't think the game is called the same way officiating-wise that we have seen in the past. I think they're letting them get away with so many more things right now. And I'm not just talking about the physicality of the game. I'm talking about the number of travels that I see, the movement of feet when they don't have the ball on the ground, if you know what I'm talking about. Yep. They're not. I can't believe how many missed traveling violations are in these ball games today. I know it's a really hard game to officiate. I get that. But at the same time, the basic rules and fundamentals of basketball require you to take no more than a step and a half to go up for a basket, those kinds of things. And the number of times a guy's pivot foot is moving out there. I mean, not just minusculely either. I just think it's interesting that the game has gotten to a point now where the fundamentals don't play a major role.
Well, it's especially when each year there seems like there's something that, well, this is a point of emphasis. This is a point of emphasis. How about just some basic fundamentals being a point of emphasis?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I guess maybe the game is evolving. Maybe that's part of it. I get that sometimes that can be an issue and make things look a little rougher than they might be. But the honest goodness truth is, I think this is the basic fundamentals of basketball require you to keep a pivot foot down, and you can't move without moving that pivot foot. And so I see it. You can see it literally on almost every play of the ball game, where the ball or the pivot foot is moving when it shouldn't be. So anyway, long story short, that's my pontification on negativity this morning. Sorry about that.
That's good. All right. Hey, so now you just got to go across town to take the Indiana Hoosiers to take on the USC Trojans. Man, they could get 4 in a row before they come back home, Don, and that would just be a boost to their NCAA hopes, a team that we had kind of were writing off for that, and now they're right back in the thick of that.
Yeah, they are. And USC is going to be a challenge, too, because they're a ball club. They beat Rutgers over the weekend, just like Indiana beat UCLA. They're a ball club that at this point is 15-6 on the year. They are a team you can't go to sleep on. Eric Musselman's a really good basketball coach. Obviously did a great job at Arkansas and Nevada and those places that he has been. They play hard at both ends of the court. I think this is a team that will challenge Indiana a little bit. They've got better size than IU does. There's no question that they are a ball club that always goes hard at the defensive end. So it's just another one of those ball games that I think Indiana's got a shot to win if they play some of their best basketball, which is what we're seeing right now.
Without question, it's going to be a late one for you, though. You're going to the West Coast and as late as possible at 10 o'clock East Coast time, man.
Well, on the West Coast here, it'll just be 7. So, man, we're getting an early game.
There you go. Well, good luck with that. Enjoy it. Well, at least you get the rest of the week off.
Well, yeah, we'll be coming back Wednesday. We're actually not flying back right after the ball game Tuesday night, so that's a rarity.
Yeah, it is.
We aren't coming back right away, but I think it'll do everybody good just to get a good night's sleep before they start traveling again. So, and that helps you, I think, when you get back home as well.
No question. Just to let you know, Indiana up in the net rankings are 29th and 33rd in KenPom, so they are rising up through the ranks, and that's cool. What Hoosier fans want to see. Don, appreciate you as always.
All right, Jimmy. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. See you.
You betcha. Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, as he does each and every Monday, and we appreciate him. Indiana up to 29 in the net rankings, 33 in the KenPom. Hey, that's more than good enough to make any NCAA tournament. So that's a little surprising that they climbed up that high. But USC 50, 50, 49, and 49 in the net. KenPom, Evan Miyakawa, and the Torvik. So, Indiana. The metrics are liking them. Beating Purdue, getting that road win at UCLA, who just had beaten Purdue. Boy, if they could have locked down that in the win against Nebraska, boy, oh boy, we wouldn't even, they would be, I'm not going to say a lock, but they would be well on their way to making the NCAA tournament without question. Hey, well, they could keep on letting it roll, baby. The Big Ten was a battle this weekend. I think, Friday night, you had Michigan and Michigan State going at it. Michigan State coming out the winner in that. Michigan. I'm sorry, I said Michigan State, didn't I? Michigan coming out the winner in that battle. And did you see the Tuskegee coach got handcuffed on the court? This was the goofiest thing I've ever seen. He wasn't arguing. This was post game, but the handshake. There were some football players in the line. He was trying to get him out of line or something. I don't know, but they ended up handcuffing him it was a weird deal because it was there was nothing really big going on, but they ended up letting him go. But that was just crazy to see that. But let's see. Let's get to the standings. Yeah, let's find out who's doing what. Of course, I already know that Michigan, and I think Illinois now should be atop the conference standings by themselves. There we go. Yeah, Michigan, Illinois. Illinois with a huge win at Nebraska yesterday. That was in response to losing to Nebraska at home already earlier in the season. Right now, the Wolverines and the Illini sitting at the top of the Big Ten Conference at 10-1. Nebraska, Michigan State behind them, each at 9-2. Purdue, half a game further back at 8-3, along with Wisconsin. Then you've got UCLA, Iowa, and Indiana tied with Ohio State. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, that's not right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're tied for 9th and 10th. I would have not normally thought that would have gotten you into the tournament, but this year the Big Ten is much better than they have been. So that also raises your metrics when you're playing these teams that are much higher rated. You get a bunch of ranked teams in the Big Ten this year, and if Indiana is sitting where they are, plenty others are higher than they are. Let's take a quick break. Greg Rakestraw will join us next. Glad to have you along on this Monday to get it started. Back with more right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Jim Coyle with you as always, and joined by Greg Rakestraw, who is always a visitor on this day as well, unless we have to make other arrangements, and luckily we did not today. As looked like you were fresh off out of shoveling snow, but we don't have any new snow, brother.
No, this is just the beard is to keep the face warm this time of year. So
I hear you.
Everything is, it's kind of like a path system these days. I'm sure is in Bloomington too, just driving through things. Because the way the schedule's worked out, I didn't have to take my son to school at all last week. And so this week I did, and I realized just how much of a side street his school is, because everything was one lane trying to get in there. So there might have been some off-roading in my recent past before sitting down.
Off-roading always sounds fun unless there's ice involved. And then that sometimes isn't always the deal. But yeah, speaking of a path, anywhere I look, the only way you can walk is a path that's got about 14 inches of snow packed around it. But hey, that's okay. That's that lets us know we're still alive, right? Yes, that's right. Great, man. How was your weekend? Was it a busy weekend as it usually is? Did you get some time off?
By my standards, it was a laid-back weekend. I had a doubleheader on Friday night. Had a great game on Saturday night between Fischers and Carmel. As we have now hit the home stretch of the season. So the girls start the tournament tomorrow night. The boys have 4 weeks of regular season play left to go, and depending on how you scheduled and if you missed, the major snowfall events of the last few weeks. For example, Fischers, who's 18-0, and they have done that primarily without Jason Gardner this year, as he hasn't played since December the 19th with his hand injury. But they are still rolling after beating Carmel by 3. They've got
amazing, Greg. Not to interrupt you, but going back the last 3 years.
Yeah.
They've lost, one game to Jeffersonville?
Twice, 77-2. They had lost at Carmel in the regular season the year they won the state championship in 2024. That's their only regular season loss. So if you're counting regular season wins only, they have won 48 consecutive games. Now, the record is up in the 70s. Argos did that in the late 70s, early 80s in terms of running through their regular season competition. The streak that was snapped for them of Jeffersonville last year, when they're approaching the all-time consecutive, wins record. But they're solid. And Carmel's 3 losses have all come at home, have all come in the last 3 weeks. And Jim, they have all been to teams that are ranked in the top 5 in the state. And they will play number 6 Lawrence North at home on Thursday nights. And I'll be there too. There's a reason we show a lot of their games, not just that they're good. They play a phenomenal schedule. We get to highlight the best teams in the state that way.
Well, there are tons of them. Plainfield also 17-1. Silver Creek 18-1 still. And I know these are different classes, but I like that you got teams from all over the place. Crown Point 14-1 from up north. Pike, Lawrence North, and Carmel's teams you mentioned. But you've also got New Albany. Let's see, did I see No, Silver Creek. And then who's our Evansville teams, man? We got
not a great year for the Evansville schools.
Evansville North, yeah,
right, is the best team of that bunch, and frankly should win that sectional. We'll see, what sectional winner plays what sectional winner now that we draw the regionals a bit differently. Now they're 1-game regionals and not 2. It could be any one of 3 sectionals that they play. Crown Point just suffered their first loss of the season this weekend. Gary 21st Century, who is always a player in 2A, knocked them off 74-60 on Saturday night. So
what happens when we get to the 22nd century? Do they have to change their name?
No, they'll just be not of their history by that point in time. But Silver Creek I think has Cathedral as the team that can beat them in 3A. That's the one team, maybe Northview on a given night, and they're both in the southern half of the bracket. You got to remember the team that appeared in the 3A championship game each of the last 2 years in South Bend St. Joe, which would be on the opposite side of the bracket normally, is playing up in 4A because of those results. So, there was a few days where Silver Creek was actually number one in the Sagarin ratings. Fisher's has since jumped them back. Silver Creek is as good as any team in this state. I think they would be competitive in the 4A draw, but they are the likely 3A champs, with Cathedral the team that would probably best match up with them. And again, that would be a semi-state matchup. We just don't know whether that be a morning game or an evening game. And again, that draw does not take place until 6 days out.
People that are not from the southern Indiana area may not get this. I know you will. I think Silver Creek has become the new Floyd Central.
Yeah, and depending on where you're from, you would give it a different meaning. Like in Indianapolis, you would say Silver Creek is becoming the new Center Grove. Or if you're from Evansville, you'd say Silver Creek is the new Castle. If you're from Fort Wayne, you'd say Silver Creek is the new Homestead. And so what it means is that Silver Creek is now the end of the suburbs. The suburban school used to be Floyd Central. All right. Jeffersonville and New Albany were the city schools. Floyd was the suburban school. Well, they've been that way for 35 years now. Silver Creek, over the last 10 to 15 years, has now become the new suburban school. So
they've added football. They didn't used to even have football.
Correct. That's about 20 years ago. Westfield would be something similar to that in the Indianapolis area. The Westfield has gone in 30-something years from being a 2A school to being a 6A school and one of the largest schools in the state. Silver Creek is not doing that. And again, I think they were spared a bit of a decision on a conference affiliation. When the IHSA a couple of years ago shrunk 4A, it put off what I thought was about to happen, where Silver Creek was going to be a 4A school. And then you go, okay, do we join the Hoosier Hills or do we stay in the Mid-Southern? Well, now it looks like that empty spot that Madison has left, and now they're going to join the Mid-Southern next year. It appears that Bloomington South is going to join that as Conference Indiana is disintegrating. It looks like Bloomington South is heading to the Hoosier Hills. It's not official yet, but that seems to be where the reports are heading in that direction, yes.
Well, I'll be damned. That's ironic, since the Bloomington North used to be in the Hoosier Hills Conference.
Right. And Bloomington North saw an opening to join the Mid-State when Greenwood got out. So Bloomington North went north and then kind of severed that conference affiliation with Bloomington South. And so basically what you will have is similar stories in both Columbus and Bloomington, where you have two different high schools that, yes, play each other and see each other in terms of many postseason tournaments, but kind of intentionally during the regular season go different conference routes. So North will play more of a Central Indiana schedule. Bloomington South will play a bit more of a Southern Indiana schedule. Maybe not so much in football, but in a lot of sports.
Be interesting to see. What is up next for you?
So it is a bit of a slow week as well. And frankly, we got lucky on a schedule standpoint. We had kind of scheduled one of those, and Mother Nature dictated that was going to be the case for everything last week. Because this is girls sectional week, we kind of pick up our coverage on the championship night. So I've got two games this week. Carmel LN Thursday night. And again, boys high school basketball fans, your busiest nights of action will be Thursday night and Saturday afternoon, scheduled around the girls sectional. Then I will have the sectional championship from Carmel. HSE is the favorite in sectional number 8. And then it could be a toss-up as to any one of three teams they could play in terms of that championship. Sectional 8, top to bottom, is oftentimes the best sectional in the state. I'm not sure that's the case this year, and there's also more of a definitive favorite than there is in most years. And in that group, it would be Hamilton Southeastern, led by KK Holman, who is going to play at Florida, and Kayla Stidham, who is off to play at Bowling Green. One thing you will note in terms of 4A on the girls' side, a lot of the heavy hitters wouldn't see somebody else that's a top 10 team until they got to the regional or semi-state round. The lone I shouldn't say the lone, but the major exception to that would be up in the Fort Wayne area. Norwell has made the last 2 3A championship games and won 3A girls last year. They are now in 4A playing against Homestead. Homestead that has 4 college commits in their starting 5, led by Maya Epps, who's going to play at the University of Louisville. So that's probably, in terms of the 4As, the best sectional matchup you will see over the course of the next 4 or 5 days.
Looking forward to it, man. It is the beginning of a long basketball tournament season. As
we got 8 weeks of it, Jim. We got eight consecutive weeks, and it starts tomorrow night. So they're handing out a lot of trophies between February and March from the IHSAA.
And we've got the big game coming up on Sunday as it's a Super Bowl, baby. I can call it whatever we want to. But, yeah, looking forward to that. The Patriots, not a team that many of us expected to see back there.
No.
And it's a weird story, which as successful as they were, and then to end up back there with Drake May from North Carolina, it's kind of wild to see.
Well, I think
them,
the obvious story is the Mike Vrabel story, in terms of you wonder what in the world the Titans were thinking in letting him go as a coach. And then the Patriots then kind of quickly realizing last year, hey, Mike's available. Mike's in the family. Mike wants the job. Sorry, Gerard Mayo, you've been a great player and kind of, part of the Patriots family, but we think this guy's the goods. And, man, that decision looks all the more wise now. This is reminiscent, though, of, say, the 2001 season where the Patriots will go in as the underdogs. The Seahawks have been really, really good. And the Patriots come from what appears to be a bit of a weakened AFC this year. So Drake May had a really good regular season, has not been great in terms of the playoffs, but his defense has been so good that simply May has been good enough. And I think against the Seattle defense, he's going to find a way to be better, and it may be hard to do. So good for them that they got back. But again, they go in as the underdog, which in their Super Bowl trips has been rare for New England.
Yeah, Seahawks getting a chance to get one back that they gave away back in 2015, I think, throwing the ball on the goal line. Yep. Yeah. Oh well. Well, buddy, as always, greatly appreciate you and look forward to next Monday.
Sounds good, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network. Make sure you're giving him a follow and stand up to be with all they have to come. We got more coming up. We're back with it right after these messages. Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era and possibly the greatest college team ever. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at the link on your screen.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Jim Coyle with you as always. Glad to have you along. Oh, it's still cold out there, and it's not going to change anytime soon that I'm aware of. And I thought I heard we may get another inch or two of snow coming in sometime. Not that it matters at this point. When you have as much as we do, it's another inch or two. It doesn't really matter out there. But, maybe. Looks like we're going to hit 32 this afternoon. Maybe when you're listening, be 32. 34 for highs today and tomorrow. Oh, my. That'll just melt the snow away. Just kidding. And then back down to, this Friday, 39 and 40 on Sunday. Hello. What in the world? That's good. Well, we're through January at least. We've got that going for us, which is nice. Big game coming up this weekend. Who you got? I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm probably going to Seahawks. I guess I'm going to have to go with the Seahawks. We're also asking, do the Colts have any chance of getting Mendoza? No. No, they don't. I don't even know how that question's even possible to even ask, because he's going to likely be the first round draft pick of the NFL draft to the Las Vegas Raiders, who I saw is probably going to be hiring, is it Clint Kubiak? One of the sons of Gary Kubiak, former Broncos coach, former Seahawks quarterback. Oh my, that's right. Oh, so there's that. Yeah. So he's currently the OC for the Seahawks. So that, we'll see how that works out. He's got a brother that is also up there pretty high. Russell, what's daggone it? What's the coach that went from James Madison to UCLA? Anyway, yeah, he tried that. Thank you, Russell. I do remember seeing that. It was kind of funny. He goes out at halftime, and I guess this was the Indiana game, or it was one prior to that. But talking to the UCLA fans, how they're going to win a Big Ten championship next year. And hey, he did a pretty daggone good job at James Madison. He had to rebuild that up after Bob Chesney. Thank you, Brian. Yeah. But what else are you going to say? I mean, you have to believe that. You think, what did each and every one of you think when Kurt Signetti said that at Indiana? You laughed. So, but he has to believe that. Kurt Signetti believed it. And everyone on his staff believed it. And then the players believed it. And then the fans believed it because it came true. But, yeah, I found that to be, but what else are you going to say? I mean, it was a little funny because it's so similar, and you are the guy that replaced him at the other school. It's like almost a direct, I don't like to use the word copy, but it was a little weird. I mean, what are you going to do? That's it. So, what are you going to cook for the Super Bowl? Let me know. I may have to come over. Wings are usually big. Yeah. Ooh, how about a Cajun shrimp dip? That sounds delicious. The most rapidly requested Super Bowl dish in our friend group for years now. Tip. This person uses Tony Chechers for the Creole seasoning. That's from, well, it doesn't matter. Tavern style pizza. After this, I'm reading that the people that are putting these together wrote. After my dough cold ferments for 3 days, I roll it out, cracker thin the night before. Once it cures, the dough gets leathery and becomes crisp in the oven. And when it's topped with local pepperoni, pickled jalapenos from my garden, and pineapple roasted with bacon, that sounds delicious. The small square slices make for an elite game day snack. That doesn't sound bad. My mom's clam chowder. Not mine, but someone else's. Well, I'll read the rest of those. We've got to finish this segment out. Dustin's going to join us, but I've got 6 minutes left in this segment. I'll go ahead and bring Dustin in. Dustin, I was just reading off some Wagyu beef breakfast quesadilla. Yes, please. Just bring off some big game food there. So now I'm getting hungry.
Right.
Dustin from the Indy Star. Big Super Bowl plans?
Yeah, we're gonna go see some people, watch the game somewhere.
Do some things. Maybe stop by Home Depot if there's time.
Yeah. This was our Home Depot weekend. Well, actually, it wasn't. We did Costco and Costco and grocery shopping on Saturday. And I successfully changed a shower head this weekend. So big move there. Had to get a couple little brass, pipe fittings, improve my my plumbing skills.
Yeah, baby. How many times did you have to go back to get something that you forgot to get?
3. Yeah.
That's the requisite number.
Yeah.
That is the requisite number.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. No, actually, no, it was twice. But it was over time. I had to, I got a reducer and then something else. It was, there were multiple pipe fittings that were necessary. And then I had to get a second reducer was the issue. So,
yeah, I don't know. I just happened to see this. The Three Stooges was doing some kind of plumbing work, and I just went straight out from the shower at a big long one, and it kept going in like 18 different directions. So hope it was better off than that. How was your
it doesn't look like that, so that's a step in the right direction.
That's good. How was your weekend?
Good, busy, good. I think Pacers game Saturday night, they're winning, 2 in a row, 3 out of 4. They look all right. Could change dramatic's trade deadline's Thursday.
But do people want that? I noticed right now they're like second worst in
it's not, it's the timing of it isn't great. I mean, there's still a lot of time left. So, they could do a lot of winning, they could do a lot of losing. They're not in a position where, they're not getting back in it. So, I mean, I think the people are a little nervous, I think. But, I mean, I've said this before, you do want this team to do a little bit of winning, to experience the idea of winning. I mean, really, every game it changes because they are one of 5 teams with 13 wins or fewer. Right now, the Kings are the worst at 12-39. The Pelicans are 13-38. The Pacers are 13-36. The Nets and the Wizards are both 13-35. And the Jazz are 15-35. So, they're in one of those positions where it is, sort of game to game, and everybody's up for this. And so, like, the thing that you're afraid of if you're the Pacers is if everybody gets bad lottery luck. If it's these five, what are they? If it's these five teams and you're like, okay, well, if the lottery were just among those five, you'd be like, okay, I like my chances to get in the top four, because five is really where you start to get in a position where, okay, well, what do you, does that do enough for you? Because I feel like those top four guys are, like, for lack of a better way of putting it, just to say it out loud, worth tanking for, like at the end of the day, like, Peterson, DeBonsa, Boozer, Wilson are worth taking for. After that, there's some really good players. But a part of the issue is I think the fifth guy is probably Kingston Flemings, and Kingston Flemings is a point guard, and so I think if you need a point guard, you'd love to get Kingston Flemings at 5. You feel great. I mean, the Pacers, the one thing they don't need is a point guard. It's the one thing they don't need. Like, they've got 3. So, it's like it doesn't serve them. It's nice to have a fourth guy. But that your fourth guy, you want to be a second-round pick who you're paying like $1.5 million. Like, you don't want your fourth point guard out of this group to be a guy who's on a rookie scale at 5 or 6, where you're paying him. It goes up like $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million a year from year to year. And not only that, a guy that you're investing your first top 5 pick since 1988 in. So, that they're in a weird position there. But it's like, if they can still, like, no, I mean, the lottery balls could work out. It could work out great. Either A, they end up with the worst record, and like, even if they don't get one, they end up at 4th. They could actually get one of the lottery picks to go their way, or I mean, that one of those things could happen, or but the issue is if you get bad lottery luck and somebody that's not in that bottom 4 sneaks in there to get a top 3-4 pick, and like, you get pushed back, like that's going to really sting. So if they end up picking 6th or 7th, they're going to be like, what, what was this for? At the end of the day, and that's they're going to be in a weird space of like, why do we have to be this bad? But why did we have to be just good enough to not get that? So,
Yeah, that's been the story of the Pacers over the last several years. They have always been good enough to not be in the bottom part, and have just kind of hovered right there in the middle. But what about trade? Well, let's wait until we flip over here, because we're going to hit a hard break. But trade deadline coming up, and decisions for the Pacers that are going to go along with what their thoughts are for the end of the season with the draft and all of that. So that's a lot of stuff that has to come together, that they have to think of, and then you have to hope that all of that stuff still comes together, because you're making this plan, but not knowing, am I going to have this pick? Am I going to have that pick? Whatever the case may be. So doesn't always work out.
No. No. So, all right. So deadline after the break?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Deadline after the break. We've got about another less than a minute here before we hit the break. But
all right.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Let's begin the basics. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, we'll dive into possibilities, whatever, but they've got to try to get a center. I mean, they don't have to get one now. They can get one in the off season. But they have to look for one. They've apparently been kicking the tires on a lot of on a lot of options there. We could dive into names after that. And certainly the other question sitting out there is, what do they do with Benedict Mathurin? Because Benedict Mathurin's contract is about to expire. So,
and James said earlier, don't forget, if you want bonus points with the wife, change the shower curtain out as well, unless it's a glass door, and then make sure you always squeegee. Always squeegee. Hey, we've got more coming up. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star with us, back with more right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas from mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Jim Coyle with you, and Dustin Dopirak with me as well. Yeah, man, the Pacers were. All
right,
we
deadline.
talked about who. Oh well, let's start with that instead. Deadline. What changes do you think might be in the offing?
Yeah, so I think, first off, again, they've got to look for a center, because this, this by committee situation has worked out okay, but it's not. You're not winning a title with their center situation as is. Basically they've had Jay Huff and Isaiah Jackson all year. They've rotated through a bunch of other guys. They had James Wiseman and Tony Bradley at the start of the year. They released James Wiseman twice. Went out and got Micah Potter, who's still on the roster. Tony Bradley was a part of this for a long time, and they finally, he was on a 10-day deal that expired. They might bring him back after deadline, depending on how it works. But bottom line, they haven't been able to replace Miles Turner. Jay Huff's had some good games, and I think Jay Huff has established himself that he can be a part of this going forward. That if you have Jay Huff in the mix, you can go out and get a starting center that is not a shooter. You can afford to get a guy who's just kind of a lob finisher, rim runner, rim protector type guy that doesn't, there's a bunch of guys they're looking at that don't shoot threes, and they can do that because they have a Jay Huff who does shoot threes coming off the bench. I think if you have at least one center who can shoot, you're okay. It doesn't necessarily have to be your starter. So I think they can look at guys like, Daniel Gafford. Who else is on the list? I'm suddenly just blanking on. Walker. Walker Kessler's an interesting name, but because I think he's got an expiring contract just because he wanted a lot of money from Utah. They didn't give it to him. He'd be a phenomenal pick, but he's also hurt, and I think he's out for the year. And so basically, you're not getting a player. You're getting the opportunity to negotiate with a player. That would be getting out on the limb a little bit. I gotta actually pull my list up. I actually have a primer in the Indy Star today to see who else that they should be looking at. And I'm blanking on the second and third names. I thought a guy that they should look at, and this isn't one that I've seen anywhere, but is Jalen Smith to try to bring him back. Yves Missy is the big name that we started to see. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he's the guy with the Pelicans. He's the second stringer who's been.
The Pelicans. Gotta love the Pelicans. Dustin lost his connection there. He'll be back with us here in just a second. But while he's thinking of all of that, I'm looking at a different list. I'm still looking at the food list for this weekend, for this weekend's big game. But also, speaking of draft picks and all of that, AJ DeBansa, Peterson, recently, those two played in a game. And Kansas. DeBansa, of course, there at BYU rather. First half, there we go. He's back. He's back.
Somewhere in there, I was talking about Yves Missy. And so like he's a big 6'11", 235-pound guy. He's averaging like 5.8 rebounds in like 15 minutes a game or something. Shot blocker, rim runner, dunker, finisher guy. That's a name they've apparently been interested in. He only makes $3 million. So that's one that should be kind of easy to get, but I think the Pelicans are sort of holding out for more. So like if the Pacers wanted to send Mathurin their way, the Pelicans would have to give him multiple players. They'd have to give him Missy and somebody else to make the math work. So maybe they could go cheaper there, maybe not. It would depend, but it seems like they're one of several that are interested in Missy. Don't know if it'll be the Pacers trade offer that will be the best. I think Nick Claxton is a guy that they've got to look at, but Nick Claxton's pretty expensive. He makes around he's got a descending contract, which is good, which means the next 2 years you're paying him less than you would pay him the rest of this year as far as cap space is concerned. But he makes $25 million a year, so you have to find a way to send not exactly $25 million, but somewhere close to that out. The way the trade rules work. I mean, you can't just send, it's not like baseball where you could send, AA guys and you can get a superstar, basically if somebody wants the salary dump bad enough, you got to come close to matching salaries. It's not going to be exact. Like, if it's a $9 million player, you don't have to send $9 million out unless you're in a certain tax bracket. But you got to get close to that. So, if they were to go after Missy, the Pelicans would have to add something. If the Pacers wanted to give up Mathurin, like anything, I was thinking about Claxton too. So if you're trading for $25 million for Claxton, you've got to find like $20 million in salary to send out. And that's not easy with the Pacers because they've only got two guys who are making more than 20. And that's Siakam and Halliburton, and they're not trading either one of those guys. If you really want to get an expensive guy, you might have to trade Obi Toppin. And I don't know if they want to trade Obi Toppin because I think they realize how much they've missed him. Being out for most of the season with the stress fracture in his right foot. He's starting to make a comeback. I mean, I don't know how much of a push there's going to be to get him back on the floor simply because you're getting towards the end of this thing here. But I think Rick Carlisle has mentioned he feels like the time they've spent without him has kind of showed him how valuable he was, just as a guy who just gets out and transition runs and finishes. I mean, they can just play so much faster when they've got a guy who's just getting ahead of the play like Toppin is. He cheats too much, as far as like not rebounding and starting to run, leaking out. And he should do that less, but even when he's not leaking out, he can outrun people. He's just so fast up and down the floor. So, they've missed that a lot. And so I don't know if that's a name that a player they want to give up. And so I don't know if they're going to swing that big. And basically salary wise, if you want a $20 million center, $25 million center, you also almost have to include Obi, who makes around $14 million. Otherwise, even if you're giving them Jarris Walker and Benedict Mathurin, that's still getting you to 15. And that's not necessarily going to cut it. Maybe you can do him and Isaiah, those two and Isaiah Jackson get you there. But it's expensive, and you have to wonder if that's even what the Nets want. And they might not even move Nick Claxton. So, that's another name. So yeah, those are some guys they could target. Again, Mathurin is a guy that you have to say is that there's a good chance he gets moved just because he's on an expiring contract. Doesn't seem, he's a restricted free agent, which means they can match any offer in the offseason. Remember a couple of years ago, the Pacers came to an agreement with DeAndre Ayton, but Phoenix matched the offer and kept him. And if you match the offer, like it's not like, the player can take, if you match the offer, he has to stay. That's what a restricted free agency means. It doesn't matter if that player would still rather go to the other team. If you match the offer, then, then you stay with the team you're in. So, they have that sort of advantage as far as negotiating with Mathurin. So if Mathurin doesn't get a great offer, they can keep him on the cheap and maybe feel okay about that. But it doesn't seem like they have a whole lot of interest in paying him $25 million, which is, I think, going into the season, what you would have expected for him to get on the open market. It's maybe less now. So, maybe they could swing that, but, and end up, keeping him and having him as a piece off the bench. But I'd be surprised if he started. And also it depends on what they pick. If they go get a Darren Peterson, then if you get Darren Peterson, then Benedict Mathurin is not obsolete's not a word, but he is redundant. I think Peterson is a guy who does a lot of the things that Mathurin does, and also would fit in better and more easily than Mathurin has. So, they're in an interesting situation. You don't know what's going to be enough for other teams to pull the trigger. I think there are, as Shams, I think, put it on ESPN last night, that there is a lot that's going to hinge on whether Giannis moves or not. And so there's a lot of moves that might not happen until Giannis moves. And so, and maybe some players become available because, somebody picked up Giannis, or somebody was part of a deal that included Giannis, and maybe that's 3 or 4 teams that end up in that deal. If there is one, maybe that deal just doesn't happen. So it's be interesting to see how dominoes fall and where the Pacers fit in that. But, because they're in an interesting position in that, you think of, especially in baseball, you think of buyers and sellers. If you're good, you buy. If you're not, you sell. For the Pacers, it's not necessarily like that because, they are thinking next year, and they have reason to believe that they can go back and be a playoff team in a year. So you have to think about building that team a lot more than you're thinking about what you do with this one.
Yeah, and that makes what they do with this particular trade is like I said earlier, it's part of the overall plan, but it's a plan that you're making on a decision that you're wanting to make, but you can't control how that goes. And recently, ironically, Darren Peterson and AJ Debinsa played each other as BYU and Kansas went at it, and Peterson was the guy, but he's finished 1 game this season. Is that something to look at?
Yeah, it's cramps, it's leg. It's definitely something to look at. I mean, it's been an issue all year, and I don't know. Certainly they're going to have to do. Everybody that deals with them is going to have to do physical stuff, medical stuff, whatever. It might. I haven't followed it closely enough to say, okay, like what the issue is and if it's something that's going to go away. Or not. I mean, I think I know it's been leg cramping. It was a hamstring thing, stuff like that. I mean, I think it's mostly upper leg type of stuff. And, it would seem to be something that you could work out, like it might not, I could see how it could be nagging over the course of the year, but I don't know if you look at it and say, well, that's something that's debilitating, that it could be an issue going forward. Once you, basically just sort of get out of the season, get, train up for the combine and then rest and then whatnot, that might be the end of it. But if it is, obviously it changes, your thinking, because if you're not going to have a guy, like they say, like the best ability is availability, like if your player doesn't play, what good is he to you? But if you're only getting him 15, 20 minutes a night and he can't make it past that, then, you have, that's a bench player, maybe that's worth having, but that's not worth picking 1 overall, So, like I said, I think what I've seen of him, and I haven't been able to sit down and just watch a whole Darren Peterson game. But I think, he's special. I'm really impressed by what he does. And I think really watching him in the context of having covered Ben Mathurin and having talked to Rick Carlisle about Ben Mathurin and saying like, what is it that's held him back? Peterson seems to have all the things. He seems to be where they've wanted Mathurin to go, in the sense of he's phenomenal at moving without the ball. He doesn't need to have the ball in his hand for a long period of time to create offense. He's a real quick release, get to his spot, square up, shoot.
Creates a lot of his own shots.
But it's Mathurin can do that, but Mathurin wants to sit there and crossover dribble between the legs a couple times, try to get you here, try to get you there, and then go, and the Pacers, when they really operate the way they want to, they want you making decisions quick, if you're driving, it's because you got a lane. The ball is supposed to move and find you a space to operate. And they don't really want you, if you've got your guy on you, they don't want you to spend a lot of time sort of toying with him. And Peterson, he can do that. He can decide, all right, I've got this guy, I'm going to, break him down off the dribble and go. But he finds lanes really quick. He just slashes really well, but shooting, his jumper just looks pure, and his ability to move without the ball, get into a shot, spot, and, turn, pull up, kind of do it all in one motion and not really need, like be sort of squared up on the catch, ready to go, even off a movement. I mean, it just stands out to me as like I can just see him operating in the Pacers offense and really being lethal there and have that ability to keep the ball moving, whether you're shooting it or passing it or whatever. Like that's the kind of guy they want. He just seems to fit perfectly in that kind of 2-guard role. DeBonsa to me is phenomenal as well. So I mean, I don't like, and I think DeBonsa has, like traditionally you would look at it and say, well, he has to have the higher ceiling because he's like the longest guy with a lot of like room to add muscle to and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like jump out the gym, that kind of stuff. Shots just okay. I mean, he's got good. He can score at all 3 levels. He is a guy that's got a good mid-range pull-up, but I think he's shooting like 31% from 3, somewhere in that range. Where like Peterson's 3-point number is really good. So I think that's what concerns you about DeBonsa if you're the Pacers, is that you need, like if you're looking at him to start at the 3, like he's got to shoot. He's got to shoot. He's got to hit threes. And, Aaron Nesmith hits threes. Like if you're going to dislodge Aaron Nesmith or, you're going to get a ton of minutes behind him, you better be able to shoot at that position. But, he does have a lot of length that translates to good defense, good rebounding, ability to run the floor and finish, ability to score off the bounce. I mean, he's terrific as well. But Peterson seems the most natural move to me. And, it's like if they look at those, medical, if they are 1-1, I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, they have to get the number 1 pick because I think, like right now, I think Peterson goes number 1. As long as they don't look into him and say, all right, that leg thing's a long-term problem. I mean, because again, they're going to have a medical evaluation. Everybody's athletic trainers, doctors is going to look at this guy. They're going to get the reports. They got to go to the combine and do all this stuff. So if they don't find anything that's long-term, if they just say, hey, this is going to go away, this is, who knows why it's a dumb issue now, but we can work it out. It's not going to be a problem forever. If that's what they figure out, I think he's going 1-1. And so I think they've got to get the first pick to get him. But I think if they do get number 1, then I feel like he, and again, and nothing scares them off, then I think he's the guy.
I don't disagree with you, man. I saw DeBonsa play in high school, and when down at when they came in for the Montverde tournament, and he did not seem very team oriented, and maybe it's because he was so much better than everybody else on his team, and he was. I get that, but you still have to make others better, and I didn't see him do that. I saw him just more concerned. There was too much showboating going on. That drove me insane. He was out there at the point with the ball doing head stuff with no reason. And I'm like, dude,
he's different now. I mean, I've watched a little bit of BYU, and I mean, like he's not taking all the shots. I mean, they've got other pieces on that team. And so like he's not doing absolutely everything.
He's a talent. There's no doubt.
He's a really good talent. And I mean, he has fit within the team dynamic pretty well, I think. Like he doesn't get the ball every time, but Richie Saunders, I think, had 33 in that game. So it's not like it's only going to him. I don't see, again, like high school's different when you're the guy, when you're the guy in the whole country, like it's a different world. And I haven't seen him operate that way in BYU games. I haven't, like selfishness hasn't stuck out to me. I think he moves well within the team system, plays pretty well off the ball. Like it just doesn't seem like Peterson's game seems sharper. Peterson's game seems more refined. Peterson seems to know exactly what he wants to do on every single play. And I mean, DeBonsa can float a little bit. Again, it's not like selfishness stuff. But you don't see the same level of, take over the game, but also like whatever's, if you're getting face guarded and those guys get face guarded, like Peterson, I think is just really good at knowing when to space, knowing when to move, like how to make the most of that situation and how to dislodge somebody, how to run around a screen, basically like how to just keep a guy moving and creates a space from somebody who does not want to leave your side. Again, could see more from that from DeBonsa, but I mean, again, he is super talented. The athleticism, the length, the power, like all of those things go a long way. I mean, I watched him. I think it was Utah. I think he had 43, and he was incredible in that game. So, like he I think the biggest thing that you're worried about with DeBonsa that would make me think Peterson over DeBonsa is, again, DeBonsa is just an okay 3-point shooter. He can make them. It's not like he doesn't make any. I guess he's not a non-shooter. But at that 3 position, I mean, you want 36% and above. Like, I mean, that 36 is like that's about as low as you're willing to go. You know, like guys shooting 30, you know, that's a number that's too low for you. Now, obviously, you can get it higher, you know, over time working with a guy, you know, mechanics and all that kind of stuff. But that's it. That's what makes you nervous about taking him number 1 overall when Peterson is just such a good shooter. But if you're number 2 and Peterson's off the board, you take DeBonsa and you don't think twice. In my mind, if you're the Pacers, I mean, I think certain teams you'd want Boozer. You know, like the only reason you don't want Boozer, I mean, I think if Boozer's there at 3, the Boozer Wilson question is a tough one for the Pacers if they were to end up at 3, because I think Boozer's terrific, but I think you have Pascal Siakam, and now like you're not going to have Pascal Siakam forever, and Cameron Boozer has a decade's worth of playing basketball, and Siakam probably doesn't have a decade left in the NBA. Maybe if he does, at 41, like he's not going to be LeBron at 41, but you do have more years left of Siakam being productive than you think. Because he keeps himself in fantastic shape. He's got great length. He's really smart. He doesn't have to be hugely explosive to be effective.
What is he, 6'9"?
Yeah, he's listed 6'8", 7'3" wingspan. So he plays bigger than 6'8". And so like you can use him to guard centers as they have recently. They played with a small lineup, and nominally he's been at the center lately. But I think if like Siakam's got more length than Boozer has, I think like if you get 4th, I think you still have to take Boozer. Wilson's an interesting question because you could have multiple guys. Like he can just do a lot of things for you, but like you can find a way to get Boozer to fit in because he's such a smart player. His intellect is just through the roof. But I think you go Peterson 1, DeBonsa 2, Boozer, Wilson 3 or 4.
Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star with us. Let's take a quick break and let's talk a little Big Ten hoops. If you have a little bit extra time,
a little bit, I do.
All right. We'll be back right after these messages. Appreciate you being with us. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is Fun Day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Glad to have you along and glad to be with you as we get the week started. The big game coming up this weekend. Indiana basketball back at it tomorrow night out on the West Coast, still in Los Angeles, as they will be taking on the Trojans of USC. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star with me. And Dustin, Indiana, we were left them for dead as far as making the tournament, but they've kind of turned things around, and they've keeping that lifeline alive after getting 3 wins in a row, and the last 2 coming over Purdue at home and then on the road at UCLA to snap their 14-game home winning streak. One more shot out of the West Coast as USC comes up tomorrow night. But man, they've kind of turned things around, and without one of their starters.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty impressed. I mean, I didn't get to watch too much. Caught the second half of Purdue. That UCLA game mostly happened during like the sort of pre-game period with that Pacers game. We had it. I had it on the laptop a little bit and kind of was watching it from a distance, or not watching it from a distance, watching it looking up. Action, looking up, like looking down, it breaks and whatnot. So I didn't see how that thing finished, but three in a row matters. I mean, getting UCLA matters. Is that a quad 1 win? I need to look it up.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, figured it would be on the road, and so you get 2 of those in a short span. Between that one beating Purdue, beating UCLA. I think I haven't had a chance to watch this team too much for obvious reasons. But, number one, because they're so 3-point oriented, it's a situation where, when they're shooting it, they can beat a lot of teams. When they're making shots, obviously, when they're not, they can't beat a lot of people. But when they are, they become a very dangerous team. So, you can go through stretches where they're not doing very well, and you're like, man, this team is cooked. And it only takes, one game where it's a little different. And then all of a sudden they're a different team. It's like they're one of those, which again, like on some level, it's like, well, you can't trust them and say like, okay, I'm like, don't want to put a lot of money down on this team, but like it is a team that, every once in a while can just pipe up and surprise you, make shots at the right times, and get on a little bit of run here. I think, obviously, and I ran into Osterman was at the game the other night, and I hadn't even realized this until I was talking to him that like you have in the Big Ten, you have this like just bottom tier of teams that you can just beat up on. And, like the top tier is fantastic. I mean, the best teams in the Big Ten all have a championship case, but I mean, like you can, there are teams that you can get. And so,
sadly, one of those teams, they're not at the bottom. They're probably at the top of the bottom is Minnesota, and Indiana lost at Minnesota. But below that, you've got Rutgers, Northwestern, Maryland, Penn State, and Oregon, who, man, what's with Oregon? How the hell are they bad at anything? They've got money for days to buy.
Yeah, so exactly. They've generally been a good basketball team over time, and it's been sort of strange. So, but they've got some beatable squads. Northwestern's there, Minnesota's there, like you mentioned. There's a gauntlet of games that, you look at and say, okay, well, I don't think they're winning. The way Illinois is playing, I don't think they can go into Illinois and win that game. They got Purdue once. Maybe they can get them again at Mackey. That's going to be difficult. They do have, and they have Michigan State at home, and that's going to be a real tough one. So those are going to be tough ones to get. But can you get, if you beat UCLA, can you beat USC? I mean, you can. That's certainly not a game that you look at and say, but you can't do it. I think Wisconsin's beatable. Northwestern. If you get all the games that you're supposed to get, and maybe if you consider like Minnesota and Ohio State and Wisconsin to be kind of in between ones. If you get those, you've got a pretty good case. Now, what are you going to do with that opportunity? Who knows? But I mean, they absolutely have dramatically helped their resume over these 3 games. The quad 1 wins are just the wins. The wins that keep on giving. It is when it just seems like the committee just keeps looking at those, and that'll buoy a team that might not have a shot otherwise. Those quad 1 wins will stand out, and so if they could get one more of those, that'd go a long way. But even if they just win the games they're supposed to win the rest of the way, put them, if they go into it with 20 into the Big Ten tournament with 20 wins, then you're in a really good place.
Yeah, their metrics are surprisingly better than I even thought that they were. They're Ken Palm, they were up to like 33. Torvik, they're high in all of the metrics. As say USC is around 49-50 in all of those same ones, and Indiana's in the upper 20s, low 30s.
I have 30 in the NAT right now. I just looked it up right now. I haven't been looking at it too closely, but yeah, 30 in the NAT. And what are they? 2-6. You know, they've got two quad 1 wins, 2-6. I mean, they're playing a lot of them, so that helps. You know, quad 2, they're 1-1. You know, they're 12-0 in quad 3 and 4. So, you know, they're, again, those 2 wins really go a long way.
Yeah, losing to Minnesota, I mean, it's not going to crush you. It would have been nice. I'll tell you, giving up that 16-point lead at home to Nebraska in the second half, that one
stinks.
Boy, we're not even probably having this conversation if they can get out of there with that one. And then the loss at home to Iowa, though that probably hurts worse because Iowa's a team that Indiana is fighting. As a matter of fact, they're a half a game apart. So that's someone you need to separate yourself from.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, they've got some losses that sting. And again, I think that's what this team is they can go on droughts, you know, and when you go on those kind of droughts, you're vulnerable. But, you know, when you shoot it well, like that you can build a lead. And so that, like, they are a team that's going to have big swings the way that they operate, you know, like that's just kind of how, you know, I think we talked the entire period of the Mike Woodson era about, you know, there needing to be some level of identity. This team has an identity. It's just one of those identities that, you know, it makes you dangerous and it makes you vulnerable, you know, at the same time. When you know, are that perimeter driven, that 3-point driven, you know, like you have a system and it's good. I mean, I think it's better to have a system. I think it's better to have, you know where your pieces want to go, that you're not, that year to year, you're not necessarily forced into whatever your personnel says you have to be. You know, I mean, like every year, you know, under Woodson, it was like, well, they're going to shoot it more, they're going to spread out more and whatever. But they still kept viewing, you know, their bigs as their best 2 players, whether it was Renew and Jackson Davis or Renew and Kelly Ware. And it was like, well, you can't not play those guys. You have to have both of those guys. And Renew's one of your best 2, you know, 3-4 players. And so he's got to be on the floor with your blue chip first round draft pick center. And, you know, like they found themselves playing a very slow plodding game. You know, now they are a 5-out team. And, you know, that you know, as far as the way the floor is spaced, it's spaced the way it's spaced in the NBA, you know, like your bigs running, you know, pick and roll stuff. Like he's not squaring up in the back, moving around, you know, making threes and stuff like that. And there's a value to that, but there's also, you know, like the way college games are still played, where they usually have at least one guy who still has his back to the basket. You know, like other teams are a little more steady in terms of where they can trust their buckets to come from. So, you know, like you're, you know, if you're Indiana, if you operate that way, you're going to win some games you're not supposed to win, and you're going to lose some games you're not supposed to lose. So, like there's definitely a double-edged sword there.
Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star with me. Yeah, there are 11 teams, Dustin, right now in the Big Ten with single-digit losses overall. Single-digit losses this deep into the season. And by single-digit, I'm talking no more than 7 losses. That's the most any one of those teams has. And 2 of those, and Indiana is one of them. But they're turning things around. And they just beat a UCLA team that is 7-4 in the conference. That's going to be a big help. You mentioned they've got an opportunity at Wisconsin coming up. They're an 8-3 team. They've already beaten Purdue. So getting these wins over these teams is really helping this team out at the right time of the year.
Right. Wisconsin's better than I realized. So they've got that one's going to be a tough one. But that I think is one.
They've got them at home though.
Yeah, but that's a game. I mean, that's a big one. You know, that's going to be one of the ones they're really judged on. This UCLA, this Wisconsin game, those ones are really going to, I think, tell the tale if they're going to get in. I mean, they might not have to win both of those. But, you know, Ohio State's another one that could help at the end of the year. You know, but again, you've got to get the ones that are there down the stretch. You got to get Minnesota. You got to get Northwestern. You know, like you can't miss on those 2. But, yeah, you're going to have to get, you know, at least one of Wisconsin and USC. But, you know, again, there are opportunities. You know, get that one. You know, if they're able to take 2 out in LA, man, that goes a long way. You know, if you can take out UCLA and USC, you know, 2 road wins, I'm guessing, you know, USC is probably quad 1. I'm not sure. I have to look at them, but, you know, even they're at least quad 2. Getting that kind of win would go a long way to getting them started. You know, again, I think they're going to have a hard time beating the best teams left on their schedule, beating in Illinois, beating in Michigan State. But if they can just get these, then they've got a really good chance of getting in the tournament.
Yeah, I agree because you stick 4 more wins on there, and that's going to put them at the 20. They at the 21. Are they at 16 wins?
They're at 15, so they're 15-7 right now. If they can get 5 more,
20 wins would sure be nice. But in this year of the Big Ten's dominance, the 19 might get you in. But with the metrics looking the way they are right now, Indiana's in pretty good shape. They just got to keep playing the way they play. I don't expect them to. That Michigan State's going to be a tough ask. Going to Ohio State's a tough ask. Sure. But how badly do you want to play in the tournament? That's it. What's up next for you, brother?
Back to back. Tonight they get the Rockets. Tomorrow they get the Jazz. And there's
that's kind of a rarity.
Houston and Utah in a back to back.
No, I'm at having just game like that. Boom, boom.
Yeah, I mean they've got something like 14 back to backs, somewhere in that range. That's obviously a big point of discussion in the NBA is to whether the back to backs are.
Yeah, back-to-backs are always tough in the NBA. It's different. It's a different deal. So appreciate Dustin Dopirak. Make sure you're giving him a follow and keeping up with all that he has to put out, which is great. He is our universal sportsman covering for all seasons. We've got more coming up. Appreciate you being with us. We're back with it and more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas from mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Welcome back, Indiana. Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. Jim Coyle with you as always. Just looking over the bracket projections, which they don't mean a lot right now, let's be honest. But looking at Joe Lenardi, he's got Indiana as the last team in. And Mike DeCourcy's got them in the first 4 out, so they're basically right there together. They definitely have some work to do, but like we talked about, just winning some of these games that are coming up is going to go a long way, because look at the difference just winning these last 3 have made for the Hoosiers as they continue to roll forward. And the Big Ten, man, it is tough. 11 teams with single-digit losses overall. Pretty big. Trent Sisley knocking down the winning free throw against UCLA. Man, Trent is hitting on 53% from the free throw line this year. It's something that I know he's working on and will continue to get better at. But he hit the important one, like I said earlier with Don. And man, oh man, was that an important free throw for Indiana. If it doesn't go down, you're looking at a fourth overtime. Wow, crazy. But they do get it done, and now can they win 4 in a row as they'll take on the Trojans tonight, or tomorrow night rather, and that's not an easy game either. The Trojans are right there in the same neighborhood that Indiana is hanging out in, and that would be another solid win. I have to see where they are ranked, but I'm going to imagine they've got to be close to being in the top 75. So that could be yet another quad 1 win for Indiana, which is something they need to pile a few up on, because the schedule going out is not horrific, but it's also not easy peasy either. You've got you've got to travel to West Lafayette. They've got Michigan State coming in. So we shall see how it's going. Tonight, you've got games on the docket. And if you didn't watch that Illinois-Nebraska game yesterday, man, Keaton Wagler, freshman, 28 points. That's after having 46 points in their win at Purdue a week or so ago. That's amazing. Man, that dude for Illinois is doing some business. Games tonight on the docket. Let's just see. Syracuse at North Carolina over in the ACC. Let's check out the Big Ten schedule. And guess what? No games tonight. Tomorrow night, Rutgers is at UCLA and Indiana's at USC. So Rutgers and Indiana, they should have just taken the same flight from Indy. Both on their West Coast swing as the, Mick Cronin, UCLA's coach, he complains constantly about everything. My goodness. And it was funny. He was talking about the play that basically won Indiana the game, the inbounds play. One of the few things inbounds plays that they got right that was defended toughly. They had a lot of trouble there toward the end of the game. It's the reason why they went to multiple overtimes. They were making some mistakes, which, man, that's kind of reminiscent of a year ago a little bit, but hopefully they'll get that stuff fixed out. But while it was Trent Sisley who made the last play, Mick Cronin said, we went over that play 5 times yesterday at the end of practice, 5 times last night, and 5 times this morning. Mick Cronin said about that final play that Trent Sisley scored on. We showed that play on film 10 times in the last 2 days. Tucker DeVries had a perfect pass to Sisley's right hand. Sisley went up for the layup. He didn't actually go up he was smart enough to just get the ball, to put the ball in a shooting motion, and drew the foul. Very, very smart play. Got to give that to Trent for that. But Mick Cronin complaining. I just don't think I'd want to play for him. I've got to be honest with you. He just complains a lot. He's always complaining about the travel, complaining about this, complaining about the schedule, complaining about his players. Yeah, guess what? When you win, you don't have that much to complain about. But this was the Big Ten's fault, I'm sure. Oh, they scheduled 2 teams from Indiana to come out here back to back. He's always complaining. What are you going to do? Man, just play the game, dude. And I don't know who's he's kind of locked in. When there have been other jobs come up in the last year or two that we've talked about, I remember looking at his contract. I'm like, golly, they've got him handcuffed. He can't leave. Maybe he's purposely trying to get fired to get out of that contract of theirs. I no idea. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, tomorrow night, late game for Hoosier fans. Holy smokes. 10 o'clock Eastern tip-off. As you heard Don Fischer earlier say, yeah, it's only 7 o'clock out there. And they're not leaving immediately, which I was going to ask him that, but because they usually are gone right after the, as soon as the game's over, you deal the stuff that you got to do, they're gone. They head straight to the airport and go. But spending the night, which is a little ironic, especially since they've been out there for so long. But, you're just going to be flying back all night anyway. So get them a little rest. Maybe that keep, especially if they win. Hell yeah, do whatever you need to do if you win. If that helps, get it going. But they showed they have the grit to play in those games that you got to fit in, especially a game like that. That was, I mentioned earlier how physical it was. Man, I was, again, looking at the stats earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players total fouled out of the game. 2 for UCLA, 3 for Indiana. And then Nick Dorn had 4 fouls. So close to 4 players for Indiana being taken out. And there was the 2 players that fouled out for UCLA, and then one other had 4 fouls. Pretty even. 27 fouls on each team called in that game. 10 turnovers or 11 turnovers for Indiana, 10 for UCLA. But here's the difference. 22 assists on 28 made baskets for the Hoosiers. 19 assists on 30 made baskets for UCLA. And free throws. Holy cannolis. 31 free throws made for Indiana, 30 for UCLA. And of course, the difference maker, Trent Sisley's final free throw that he knocked down to win that game. So they get to do it again tomorrow. Boy, a 4-game win streak for that team would certainly be a great coming home present, as the Hoosiers will then get to they get to play some back-to-back games. As a matter of fact, let's see, Wisconsin and Oregon. Now, Wisconsin's going to be a tough game, as we just talked about with Dustin earlier. It's a noon game on, what's it be, Saturday, I think. And then Oregon. Then you've got Illinois and Purdue back-to-back. So, man, if they could knock that Wisconsin game out, beat USC, get up to 4 wins, 5 wins, 6, have a 6-game winning streak, that would probably secure them into the tournament, because even if they lose the next 2 games, which will be at Illinois and at Purdue, 2 very tough games, then they have Northwestern at home, Michigan State at home, Minnesota at home, and at Ohio State. They can run these next 3 games, they're in the tournament. I didn't think I'd be saying that either. A little bit of a surprise. But and you get Peyton Conaway back at some point. The fact that he is out this long when he tried to play a couple of times is amazing. Yes, Don will be calling the UCLA game, the USC game. I don't know why he would not be, or why you would think he would not be. But yes, Don will be on the call, as he's loving life right now, man. He's coming off of a national championship, and Indiana's got 3 wins in a row in basketball. So he could end up in the NCAA tournament after all. More importantly, don't forget, you have to play your way into the Big Ten tournament now. But that is not a concern for Indiana, as they are far above the fray at the bottom of the conference. Which, yes, that is the way it should be, because if you look at the bottom of the conference, the standings, those teams at the bottom, they stink. They are not good. Snyder 31 is really impressed with the free throw shooting. Hey, it's been a big key to what they have been able to get done this year. Think about the previous teams going back years, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. They weren't a good shooting team, period, from the free throw line or otherwise. But yeah, man, talk about free throws being important. 31-30 in that game. Yeah, it was important. They're all important. The Big Ten tournament is all 18 teams this year? Did that change? I was not aware of that. I thought that the bottom 3 were booted, but I'll take your word on it until I look it up myself. But they don't need those teams in there. They stink. They're just not good. Well, I'll be damned. Why? I wonder why in the world they did that. That's just bad basketball. Nobody wants to see that. But I guess if you're in the conference, they want you to let them play. Let us have our day. Okay. Whatever. 15 teams is more than enough. But it is what it is. And that's in Chicago this year. They stopped it in the year 2025. Well, that would be last year, man. So we'll be looking for that. I guess that's good for the teams at the top. It just gives them more of a break. And it puts more pressure on the other, not the teams at the bottom, but the other teams that have to play more games. There's more that you're taking out of the legs as you're heading into the NCAA tournament. Yeah, I don't like that 6-day structure. We don't need 6 days of, I don't think so. But hey, it is what it is. Can Arizona beat Michigan? Yeah, anybody can beat anybody that's that good. Can is not the right word. I mean, Illinois beat Nebraska at Nebraska. Nebraska beat Illinois at Illinois. Good teams are good teams. Appreciate everybody for being with us today. Big thanks to Don Fischer and everybody else. Greg Rakestraw and Dustin Dopirak. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio. Stay tuned for Glad.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.